So hello everyone, this is Latrice Collins and welcome to the Personal Succession Planning for Individuals and for Managers. This is the introduction meeting, and during this particular meeting we're going to walk you through the agenda of what this program is going to cover, as well as show you actual applications of what you'll need to do when it comes to your pre-work and your pre-work and the tools you'll need for this session. Now, this is a live call. This call is actually, we do have some of our other students who are on the call with us. So you're going to hear the interaction from those individuals with questions they may have on what's needed and explanations of what's needed in order to go through the program. So ladies, feel free to ask questions as we get to those points. I'm sure there are questions that other people will probably think to ask as well. Okay, so let me jump into the program objectives. So this particular program is designed to give you a really deep dive on the scope of your desired role. So as we go through the next 3 months, we're going to be focusing on really looking at the type of roles or the specific roles that you want, and then helping to help shape your experience and your background and your conversation so that you become more qualified or seen as more qualified for that role. So people can kind of see the strength that you have and how you are aligned to the role that you want. We're going to help you identify your personal career brand strengths as well as your personal career brand weaknesses. Now, just letting you know what that is. A brand is simply means recognition. In other words, how do people see you? A career brand represents how do they see you from a career perspective. Are you qualified for a certain role? Are you capable of performing effectively in that role? So we're helping you identify what is your personal career brand and how can we shape that to something that positions you for the position of your choice. You're going to also discover your personal career brand sabotaging behaviors if you have any. Sometimes we have behaviors that are really standing in our way. So we have about 20 different career sabotaging behaviors that have been identified, some popular ones. We're going to see if you have any of those. And if so, you'll be notified of it so that you can help kind of shift your behavior to adjust for it. And then what are your personal career gaps? For this particular call, we've talked earlier because we had some introductions with those on the call before we started the recording, and we talked about what are your goals, what are you aiming to be. So in this particular program, you're going to literally be looking at the career choices that you want to make, meaning job descriptions and so forth, some kind of layout of the jobs that you want. And we're going to help you identify what are some of the gaps you have, because yes, we all have some gaps when we're looking for new roles. And so what are those gaps and how do we help you find connections so that we can bridge those gaps? There's a critical piece to getting positions of your choice, and that is you have to have mentors or sponsors that are in place in order to position you for those roles. This is somebody, not myself, not you, somebody else who are already near those positions. So I'm going to talk to you about, in one of our sessions, I think it's session 2 or 3, I'm going to talk to you about exactly how do you search out the best person to help in that realm, and then how are you going to ask them for assistance in mentoring you, and then what are you going to do to measure the effectiveness of what they're doing with you. So I'm going to walk you through all those things inside of this semester. And then the big chunk of what we're going to do is we're going to help you build short and long-term strategies towards positioning. Oh, Wanda, hey. Short and long-term strategies towards creating that level of advancement. Okay? Okay, so those are the objectives of what we're going to cover inside of this program. And I can see that Wanda was able to sign into it, so congratulations to that.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So besides the conference call that we're in now, so as part of this particular program, which is a semester long, so it's about 3 months long, unless you also signed up for the leadership component, a leadership course, that one additional meeting. You don't have to be a manager, but if you want higher roles, you have to know how to think as a leader. And so there's an additional role for that. If that's the case, there's a 7th class that you would be attending. And so in order to be successful in the program, here are some tools and pre-work that's required. So the first part is your personal commitment. This only works if you work it. It only works if you do all the homework that we described, that you come ready with questions, that you deep dive into this, so that, because no one's going to care as much about your career as you do. Please note that. I don't care how much your managers love you. I don't care how much your friends love you. No one's going to care about your success the way you can care about your success. So that has to be first and foremost the first thing you bring to the table. The second thing you bring to the table will be open-mindedness. Now, just letting you know, these courses are not recorded courses. These are courses that I will be on a call with you. I will be walking you through certain components, and I'll take my time in certain areas to make sure you got it. We might need to do a little bit of sidebarring at times. And I got to tell you guys, I'm pretty direct. So you will hear my directness, and I want you to know that that is coming from love. I only get 2 hours with you once every 2 weeks. And 2 hours, and the 2 hours is to the whole group. So sometimes I am going to kind of stop you a little bit and say, okay, here's what I'm hearing, and that means I just need to laser focus on you right quick. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing and see if I can get some agreement with you so we can shift you in the right direction very quickly instead of it being something that's taking a longer period of time. So your open-mindedness is twofold. One is really opening your heart and mind to those corrections that I'm going to be doing throughout the course to help you see differently, but see quickly some of the patterns, right? And then I'm going to be course correcting to tell you some things that I'm recommending that you do specifically. So I may offer one thing to one of the classmates that's totally different for someone else. So when we get to those points, I will very clearly say, this is for Mary only. Mary, this is what your focus should be, right? And what I need you to do versus when I'm talking to James. And the reason this part is very important to you is because sometimes our biggest challenge is seeing past ourselves, you know, seeing past our own strengths, because sometimes our strengths get in our way and it blinds us from seeing either our weaknesses or the strategies we need to implement. So my job during our time is to try to help you with that as quickly as possible. Is that making sense, ladies?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, the next tool that we'll have, which we're going to go through in a second, is called the careerbrand360.com, my favorite tool of what my company offers. And the careerbrand360.com is a tool all around helping you to get an evaluation of your actual personal career brand. Again, that's how you see yourself and how other people see you. And so it'll be a comparison report that you get in the end. And in a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through how to take that evaluation tool. But for right now, I'm saying that is key to understanding your actual brand, right? It is paramount. Because it's one thing to think you know yourself, which you do know yourself, but it's another thing to understand how people really do see you. For those of you who are joining in from recording, just a reminder to you, I am Latrice Collins, and I'm the founder and president of the Career Brand. And we are going through a program that's under the Career Brand, which is the personal succession planning for individuals and for managers. This program is created specifically for individuals who want to take control of their destiny of their career and really take the efforts and a step to move themselves forward. So the next bullet says books. So as part of this program, you would have received both an electronic version of the development books, and one of them will have either, depending on which program you signed up for, you will either have the book, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll either have the book with the gentleman in a blue shirt, and that's the book for individuals, or you will have the book with the young lady in the beige suit, and that's the one for leaders. The ones for leaders has everything in it that the blue has in it, except it also includes an entire model for leaders. And that's the CATS model that we focus on. Did you all receive your books already?
Yes, it looks like I have the blueprint for leaders.
Yes. I think both of you all have the leaders one. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So besides the books, we're going to have 6 sessions. Now this says Tuesday, but it only says Tuesday because we're working right now with Group B, and a couple people on a call are in that particular session. If you are a person who's listening to the recording, you might be in a different group than Group B, so Tuesday may not be your session. You need to look at your emails and your meeting planners to determine which sessions you are scheduled for. And then the last part says, so there's 6 sessions. We're meeting every other week. So we don't meet because some of the actual homework that you have is going to take you some time to do. In some cases, your homework is going to require that you schedule meetings with your other mentors. So you have to be able to get on their schedule. So because of that, this is an every other week seminar. Semester, excuse me. And so that gives you time to do your homework. Please don't wait to the last minute to do your homework, because typically if I'm assigning something to you, it's because I already know that's going to take a depth of time for you to do and analyze and bring results back than something that you can do in one night. So highly recommend you jump on that homework shortly after you take classes. The format for the classes is going to be, we're meeting for this session, we're meeting from 6 to 8 Central Standard Time. I think that's 7 to 9 Eastern Time, and 5 to 7 Pacific Time. There's 2 hours to our session. The first hour, I'm going to be walking you through some component of the books that you've received. So there's a lesson that we're going to go through, that we're going to be doing some testing on and some discussions on first. That first hour is me teaching you a different either skill or application of something that you have to do to move forward. The second half is Q&A. The second half of each meeting is only 1 hour long, but that's where you are asking me questions, either about your homework, about your experience, about a challenge that you're facing because you're coming up to a particular challenge, whether it's in the company or interview or something like that, and I'm going to be able to help you through that in that 1 hour. Just remembering that that 1 hour is also dedicated to the whole group instead of just one person. And then just re-emphasizing homework, homework, homework. So I am a teacher by heart. I've been an adjunct professor quite a bit, where it's all about you doing the work. Any questions you have for me about the tools and the pre-work?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's go into the emails you received as well as a site visit. So let me see if let me switch my screen. Give me 1 second. Great. Okay, so let's just go to, first of all, the email. So each one of you would have received this email that says product key. Now, those of you who are listening to the recording, if you would have gotten a product key straight from online, because once you make your purchase, it actually sends a product key email to you. You may not have gotten a logo in yours, but you still would have gotten the content. So if that's the case, each one of you would have already received this particular email, and in that email it has a link to your product key. Now this can only be used once. This is your product key and cannot be used by anybody else. So you all are familiar with this particular link, correct?
I'm searching for my email.
I'm looking for the.
Okay. I got it.
Okay. So for this one,
See, that's one of the problems I'm have is I won't actually have my email. I use my email at work, but I didn't forward it to this email because it's the house. So I got a situation I'm going to have to remedy. I do have my email though. In my email.
Gotcha. So for that, so I had one email from you. So just if you can just forward me the correct email, your personal email you want me to use going forward, then everything will go to that one. It is whatever email you're linked to, you can use this site from any particular computer, and you can build your account from any particular computer. So that won't matter. But for this one, it's just where your initial product key email went. So for privacy, I'm switching the screen back over because I don't want your real email to show, Rhonda. So I'm going to make sure that on the recorded session we're going to block that out. But I'm switching it off for that reason. So once you have your product key email, you're going to click into it, and it's going to take you to an account page. And on that account page is where you're going to fill up your account information. So you're going to put down your name, the email address you'd like to use, and that's going to lock in. Once you put whatever email you choose at that point is your email for everything going forward. So you might want to use your personal one for that. You're going to put in some basic information, which, female, male, things like that, which level of an organization you are. We use that for data later because we do a lot of statistical studies, and so we're following trends and so forth. So we do ask that you fill out that information. Once you do, you're going to be able to sign into the tool. And I'm going to take you over now to the tool itself. So let me know, one, if you're seeing my screen has changed to show the evaluation tool. That's the same gentleman in his blue shirt leaning back. Just want to make sure you all see that.
Okay. Wait a second. I jumped off of the other screen. Let me close some of these down. Oh, jeez. Okay, now I see the gentleman with the saying is telling me to log in. So the login that I'm using is the product key.
Okay, so no. So once you hold on, let me show you this. Okay, so I'm sharing back to my screen. Ladies, can you both see my email screen?
Yes.
You would have gotten a link, and in the link, the product key is already there. Okay? When you click that link, now mine may not work.
I don't see where you.
Yours. Okay, so hold on. Let me go back to it. Let me know when you can see my screen and see the email. Are you all looking at my screen where I have an email up?
I can see your screen.
Okay. Wanda, can you see my screen?
No, I cannot.
Okay, so that means you've flipped the page on the bottom of your screen and you probably went to something else. Can you go to the bottom of this, on your computer? Do you see a yellow clover?
Yes.
Okay, click that yellow clover and you should get back to my screen.
I see your screen.
Okay. So once you get an email, this is the product key email. Once you get that, you'll have a link. It's only one. It's two links. One link is to your registration page. The other link is going to be to send us questions if you have any. So what I'm showing everyone is this link that I'm pointing to is your product key. You're going to click that link. Now, you don't have to do it right now, but you're going to click that link. And when you do, it will automatically take you to another screen. Okay? Now, mine took me to a different screen for another reason. So when you took you to a screen, did you get to something where it showed you a video or how to enroll? it doesn't say enroll. It took you to a place where you would have enrolled. Did you all see that?
I get the same thing that you have right here that says overview, member sign in, enroll today. That's what I actually, if I could go back to the other, it's going to show me.
Excuse me, Latrice, should we be doing this now?
You can try to do it now on your email.
Oh, okay, because I'm just following along. But I mean,
yeah, you didn't have to. You absolutely didn't have to do it now.
Okay, that was my question, really. Okay.
Right. So right now, and again, this is recorded, and so when it's done, I'll send you the link. So you don't have to do it now. Now is just letting you know you have a week to make this happen. So I'm showing you what you'll be doing in this week. So let me just keep going. So in this, you would typically get to, instead of where it says benefits getting enrolled, it will take you straight into a registration. If it didn't take you into a registration, just send me an email, and I will make sure that yours clicks this product link, takes you straight into a registration page. And that would allow you to put in, so don't do the buy now because that's already taken care of for you, for anyone who's in this program. Instead, you're going to go to where you're going to type in your name and so forth. It's like answering just 6 easy questions, and that's where you're going to put in your email address and your password that will forever allow you into the program. Okay? So again, if yours takes you to ask you to enroll or buy now, just send us a quick email so our IT team can make sure they remedy that for you. Okay. So after you do that, you're going to this is called a landing page that you're looking at. The landing page is where everybody can go to that shows the overview, it shows your sign in and invites received and so forth. But you're now a member. So once you fill out your email address and that password I just told you about, you would go to this page, which is still thecareerbrand360.com, and you would click where it says member sign in. And this will be your sign in. I'm going to sign in as Emmett Watson and hit log in. Okay.
All right.
Now let me show you a couple things that's very important for you all. Sometimes, you might wonder, okay, how do I do this? How do I pick the right people and so forth? We have a plethora of videos here to help you out. It helps you know how to sign on if you're using an iPhone. Sometimes Safari is a little special, so we help you see how to do that different. It helps you understand how to navigate around the site, so you might wonder where everything is. It's pretty self-explanatory, but just in case sometimes people need a little more help with it, so we've built a navigation video for you. We've built another video to tell you what's the difference in the career brand versus other brands, and then there's just a couple more on what your blueprint looks like, as well as how do you know who to invite. So all of those are already available. Just click into them. Most of them are under 3 minutes long. Maybe one might be up to 6 minutes, but they're pretty short but very to the point. Okay? So here's all you have to do. Once you've signed in, this one is Emma, remember? Once it signs in, it just tells you a little bit at the bottom about the videos. But then you would go straight here to where it says self-evaluation. You would click self-evaluation. I've already done it for Emma. You would click self-evaluation, and you'll start just seeing behavioral questions to answer. It'll ask you things like, do you typically get projects done early, on time, or late? Things like that. You answer the questions based on what best describes you. There's a total of about 60 questions that you're going to answer. It's about 3 to 5 per screen. So you just click through it. It's pretty quick. The answers rotate. They are random, so they change order any given time. So just go through those. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to answer those questions, and then once you're done, it takes you straight over to where it says request feedback. Now, request feedback this is important. This is where you're going to invite people who've worked with you in some capacity. You're going to invite them to evaluate you. And you want to invite people that you respect in whatever field they do. It could have been your admin. It could have been your peer, your bosses. You want to invite 5 people that you respect. All you need is 3 of them to respond. We recommend you invite 5 to get 3, because quite frequently everyone doesn't fill it all out. Now, you want to also call them first to say, listen, I'm doing something that's very valuable to me. I would love it if you're able to take a little bit of time, takes about 15 minutes, to provide feedback on me. They're going to answer the same questions you just answered for yourself. They're just going to answer those questions about you. Does that make sense, or do you have any questions with that?
Yes.
Yes, you have questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I understand. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. So here where you would have said request feedback, you're going to start with the send tab, and you're going to add the person's name, Latrice Collins, and then their email, latrice@thecareerbrand.com. That's all you're doing. Their name, email. That's all you add. And then you hit send invites, and it will send them invites to a link that will take them to your tool. So they're going to be evaluating just you. And then you can come over here to track, and you can see of all the people that were invited, you know, who completed it and who didn't. So you're able to quickly see, oh, I see Vichy actually completed this particular survey, but Latrice is still pending on completing the survey. Let me resend it to her right quick. So you can easily see who has and who has not done it. This is really helpful because sometimes people lose an email, or they have so many emails. They're like, hey, can you resend it to me? This is how you resend it to them. Sometimes their emails are set up where it goes to their junk file, so just let them know. Look in your junk folder if you don't see it immediately, because it goes immediately. You hit that send, they should get it within the next 30 seconds. So if they don't see it, tell them to check their junk file for it.
Okay.
And then in other cases, you might have asked people to review you, and they also ask you to review them. So sometimes when we're doing companies, or we're doing 20 people at a time, or whatever number of people, 100 people at a time, different people are reviewing each other. Teammates are reviewing each other. So it's easy to actually miss somebody who might have sent you an email. So we've set this up where even you don't even have to worry about your email. Anybody who's also invited you to do a review on them, it's all showing here under response. You can just go and click and go and email and review that one person. Okay. Any questions about how to invite a person or track if they've already filled it out?
No.
No.
So the last part is the report, and reviewing the report. Now the report is programmed that it will not give you a result if either you haven't done your part, your self-evaluation, or if 3 people have not responded yet to the feedback you requested. And so if either one of those criteria have not been met yet, instead of getting a report like this, you're going to get a statement that says you still need one more person to evaluate you before before we can show you your results. And we do that so you can get a truly good measure of overall how people are seeing you. So now let me show you the magic to what you're going to see. I love this tool. I love this tool. This is one of all the things that I and my company have made, this is the one I love the most, because this one helps people really see themselves. So the first thing is take the video. There's a video you'll see here that helps you understand how to review your report. Okay? And then we have a PDF that gives you like definitions and breakdowns for for the information that you're going to review. So this report is available to you, and it's showing you how we've built the program. Okay?
Okay.
This section shows your overall brand value. So this column on the left-hand side shows how you evaluated yourself, versus on the right-hand side shows how the other people who evaluated you, how they see you. So in this case, this person saw themselves as a moderate brand. Based on how they answered all the questions, their brand value is moderate. However, the people who reviewed them saw their brand as what?
Satisfactory.
Exactly. So they saw it at that level. And then the rest of the tool breaks it down even more.
Go back for a second, because I'm not seeing what you saw. Where are you seeing? I see the respected feedback rating was satisfaction on the right, and moderate is, oh, okay, I see it. I see the grids now. I didn't see it before. I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. Okay. So, and always stop me like that. That's if that's how you felt, somebody else didn't see it either. So we'll go with this. So we start off. Remember, the report is designed to go top down. So it's showing you your overall brand level, and that is the pyramid we just showed you. Now we're showing you how you got there. And so under the overall brand, you have 4 elements. You have expertise, image, character, and impact. And in the next class, we'll walk through more definitions around that, and there are videos on the site that gives you definitions around those 4 elements. So what this shows is, based on this, the person saw the expertise level as what?
Oh,
Or
you
10.
talking about the self?
Yeah, the self.
10.
They gave themselves a 10.
Right.
Mhm.
But they also, big thing is, it's a performer. And they rated themselves a 10, but it's a performer. While the other people, almost close, almost the same thing, they rated them as a performer. But notice under image, they gave themselves as unrecognized potential, which means they're not quite the performer yet. That means people haven't seen them for their full potential yet. Unrecognized potential means that you have potential, but people haven't recognized it yet. So we have to figure out how to move them into a position where they can be recognized more for that. The person scored themselves as an 8.1, so they scored themselves lower than everybody else who scored them higher. The reason we put the values here is to show where you have the biggest gaps. So this person scored themselves a whole point lower. And then under character, you can see it.
What is the maximum score?
15.6.
Okay.
So here is a graphic chart that shows a comparison as well, and you can see the person has a varying view of themselves in the 4 areas, while consistently the people who are reviewing them had saw them consistently in 3 areas, but impact, they saw them pretty high. And then we break it down one more time. So under expertise alone, so remember we talked about your brand value, then we broke it down one from there to talk about your 4 elements, and now we're breaking it down even deeper. So now we're deep diving into expertise by itself, just expertise. And under expertise, we can see that expertise is built on these 5 attributes: job knowledge, work quality, business knowledge, teachability, credibility, right? And you're seeing, based on that, how did the person rate themselves? They rated themselves as skilled. And how did other people rate them? And other people rated them as underskilled, for instance, under work quality. So that means overall, but when you average in what all 3 people have said, this person says this person's work quality, the group looks at them as slightly underskilled.
Okay.
Going down further, this is career sabotaging behaviors. You can see how you identified your own, in this case, their own sabotaging behaviors, or other people. Now, here's what I want you to look for. In this case, notice that know-it-all is a person comes across as a know-it-all. Do you see how it's not selected under self? How it is not selected, right? That means that person does not see themselves as a know-it-all, okay? But what do you notice over here under respected feedback?
2 out of 3 selected, they'll know it all.
Yes, yes. When you see a 1 out of 3, it's not so bad. I mean, that's one person, right? There's one person. It could be the relationship you have with them. But when you start seeing 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3, 3 out of 4, that's the ones to pay attention to.
You can believe it. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Then we have career-enhancing behaviors. So besides career sabotaging behaviors, we want to know what things you're doing really well. And notice under career-enhancing behavior, this person has a 3 out of 3 in a couple cases. In proactively mentoring others, and to strong attention to detail, 3 out of 3. That means that is what you're known for. So when you start seeing high numbers in this section, that is your strength. That's what you need to lead with. You know, whether that is in your interviews, whether that's in your networking, that's what people know you to be. So when people ask questions about you, they're going to be, you want to make sure they're asking for references around these topics, because this is your baby on where you soar. And then don't skip this section. Don't skip this section. And then we have where there's some analysis, introspective analysis questions that says, if you're seeing gaps or differences, what impact do you think that's going to have on you? So this is a good, as homework, answer the questions before we meet again next week. So you can imagine. So look at this. One, you got to invite 5 people. You got to call them and tell them you're going to invite them. They have to go in and do the evaluation. You have to then analyze the evaluation just to see your own perspective of what you're seeing. This all needs to be done in 1 week. So you can see how, besides the homework I already gave you, you can see how this can be pretty impactful to you, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So all of that was just on expertise. We go through the same realm on image. So you have the same things on image. We do it again under character, have the breakdown. Now look at this person on character. This is big. This person, how do they see themselves when it comes to ownership?
Or expert.
But how do other people see them?
Underskilled.
Wow.
That's big, right?
That's a big difference.
Right? Now, but under self-development, they thought they were underskilled, but other people saw them as skilled. So you can see how, if this particular person, Emma, imagine how Emma would be trying to interview for a job if she didn't know how people see her. Can you imagine how much success she would have? Right? So with Emma, our job is to say, okay, we see these areas with Emma. How do we get Emma's skilled level up to expert? And where they have a big gap, such as this one, expert versus underskilled and ownership, how do we help her see that so that she can start shifting that and shifting people's perspective so it doesn't look like she's underskilled? So we'd have to deep dive with Emma to see what makes people think she's underskilled in ownership.
And even
Does that make sense?
Adapting to change.
Which is huge. This is in today's time, if you're underskilled in adapting to change, that's a challenge. So we have to figure out, though, what about your behavior is making them think that? So we can make sure we're helping you to adjust that behavior so people don't see you as a person who's not willing to adapt to change. The last part is impact. Now, impact, drive, and perseverance, they only measure themselves as skilled, but other people saw them as an expert. Now, what happens when you see yourself lower than other people see you, it's a cost to you, because that means if you see yourself lower, you probably are shortchanging yourself in quite a few areas. And so wherever this is the case, and you're shortchanging yourself, that means you're not presenting yourself better in interviews. You're not presenting yourself based on your strength in meetings, right? And so because of that, you might end up being a person working the hardest and getting paid the least amount in the group. So how do we make sure these are leveled out right? Does this make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the tool you have access to. This particular report will be seen after you get at least 3 people to respond to you. Okay? What questions do you have about the tool?
None so far.
I want to make sure that the individuals that I invite to do this are going to be able to do it. I couldn't access some of this from my government site, from my government computer. And the individuals I'm going to want to do this for me, I'm going to see if they'll be able to do it from home.
Yes, you would just ask them for their personal email addresses, because some companies, especially government or big corporations, they block a lot of sites that might, that aren't, they don't want their employees playing on certain sites, so they block those. And so you can access it. They can access it from their phone, though. So literally, if you send it to their personal email, the whole tool comes up on an email. They click the link, and they just start answering questions. They just flick through their screen. They push, it's buttons. They push through the buttons, and answer it in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really very user-friendly for them.
Now, will they have any follow-up to do once they answer the questionnaire?
Nope, that's all they have to do.
Okay.
They just have that. Yep, that's
I'm
it.
Figure I'll ask like 2 of my past supervisors,
Good.
2 of the individuals that are in positions that I want that have worked closely with me, and I'll rank another person that's not so close. Okay.
Now, so Wanda, I think for you, you really want to make sure you're focusing on those people, the people who you want to respond. Make it the people who either are in the position or making the decision about the position.
Well, I think 2 of the individuals are in the position that I'm going to ask.
Okay.
One of the individuals in that position was a former supervisor to me.
Okay. Perfect.
Then there's a person that used to be a supervisor who's in a higher role outside of that position, but she was on the interview panel.
Perfect. That is perfect. Now, the reason I'm glad you're looking at this from a strategic perspective as well, because these are the people who are going to be instrumental in deciding who gets that role, the role you may be interested in. So this really allows you to see how they're seeing you, what's your strengths, what's your gaps, and so forth. So between now and whenever you're going to apply for certain things or move yourself in a position, what do you really want to refine and move up to, or how do you pitch it better? So we'll use what comes across as your strengths through this evaluation. We'll use some of those to help you identify behavior interview questions, those performance questions, how to do those interviews based on that information.
Great.
Okay? Perfect. Okay. And then you may also want to, Deborah, you might want to select people who are hiring managers. You may want to select more hiring managers than peers, or people who have admins. You may want to select them to do your evaluation, because you need to understand, based on how they see this and how they see you, where you have your gaps. So that way you're more in line with those type of hiring managers, that you're positioning yourself more with that than just peers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so other words, the last job that I left, I can ask a few of those people.
Yes. And remember, you don't have to limit it to that. You might have people at your church who you've been doing volunteer work with. That is that's still people. It doesn't have to be people you worked with. It's just that's the strongest. But it can be other people who've worked with you recently in some capacity. Okay. Now, the one thing I want you both to consider is that understand most people do not get an opportunity to get or give feedback. Feedback is a gift. This particular tool is a gift to you, and the reason I say that it's a gift, what I mean by that is most managers are normally uncomfortable, or most people are uncomfortable giving honest feedback. And so because of that, they oftentimes do not give you the critical information you need that may be either blocking you or may enhance you to get that next job, because they're not comfortable with either conflict or with with confrontation that they think they might give, or things like that. So the way this evaluation tool is built, it doesn't say rate Latrice on a 1 to 5 scale. It asks about my behavior, and from my behavior, there's formulas built into the background to give you your brand value. One thing that's important to note, here's one other thing, thank you. One other thing that's important to note is that brands are based on how people perceive you. It doesn't mean it's a fact. It means based on their touch points with you, meaning having conversations. It means getting emails from you, talking on the phone with you, working on projects with you. From any touch point they've had with you, they're forming an impression about you. And based on that impression, they might assume that you're a person who always shows up early, even though you're right on time and not early, right? But that's what a brand is about. A brand is the perception people have about you based on their experiences. So why am I sharing that? I'm sharing that because the results may come out different than you expect. You may have some wonderful joys to see that you're seen as an expert in areas you would have never guessed. That's always a beautiful thing, right?
Yes.
But you might have some areas that you scored yourself higher than they scored you. And that's one of those things that sometimes kind of gets at you, kind of gnaws at you that happens. But don't let that bother you. This is still the gift. It's feedback. It helps you to see overall what it looks like so you can best position yourself to either shift how they see you or strengthen, use what you find is great, and strengthen how you market yourself based on that information. This is all good no matter how that turns out.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, so recap. So we've covered the scope of the tool itself, of the program itself. So we've gone through all the objectives of the program. We've gone through the logistics of the program, of when we're going to be meeting, the times we're going to be meeting, and so forth, right? We've talked about the accountability and the ownership piece on what you all have to do versus the things that I'm going to be sending you. Homework, 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 right? You would have gotten your product keys so you can do your homework. And then it just so happens next week is our first meeting. And next week you'll have your homework done, 2 sets of homeworks done. One, the homework assigned to you at the beginning of the call, that was before the recording started, individually, as well as you're going to have the homework done for your evaluation tool to be completed. Now, that's really important because if you don't have that, then next week's session is going to be, it's not going to be as valuable to you, and we can't make that up. Next week's session is all about translating what the results mean. So I'm going to go through explaining patterns and explaining what your results look like and how you want to look at things in different ways. And that only works if you have your results already. And then after that, we're going to use that as a baseline for the next week report, or the next week's class, or the next class coming up, where we're going to start looking at how to identify where you're trying to go.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So thoughts on this?
I want to make sure I have my homework piece together, so we'll talk offline after we finish.
Mm-hmm. In a second, I will turn off the recording, and then we can ask any final questions before it's done.
Okay.
But you guys have any other questions about the program itself, about what you're expected to do in this particular semester, about what you're going, what you're going to get out of the program? Any questions about that?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to turn off the recording for right now. Thank you for those who are listening, and we will see you guys next